It's good to have you on Web3 Lagos Conference. I'm excited to be here. I believe every one of us are excited to be here as well. And it's good to have you, Senator Ihenyen, on stage.
It's a pleasure.
All right, so we're quickly going to be looking at cryptocurrency regulation in Nigeria, and we have a couple questions to ask you as regards that, and we'll go right into it as soon as possible. So recently we had the Securities and Exchange Commission issue a regulation as regards cryptocurrency regulation, digital assets, tokens as well. And I would like to know your opinion on this regulation. First, do you think that they are coming in very late? It's about a year and some months after the cryptocurrency ban, and this is when they are coming up with a regulation. Do you think it's quite late? And then what do you think as regards its impact on local currency emergence in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. The Securities and Exchange Commission in Nigeria is empowered to regulate businesses that involve investments and securities in Nigeria. The Securities and Exchange Commission, over time, compared to other regulators, especially in Nigeria's financial services industry, the SEC has been relatively more progressive especially when you look at things from the CBN angle. Having said that, the SEC's rules on digital assets in Nigeria, which was made in May this year, May 2022, is a welcome development. It's been a long time coming that players in the Nigerian crypto and digital asset space needed some kind of recognition. They needed some kind of legitimacy. Although they were already legitimate, it was important for a leading regulator in that space to more or less endorse and say, we now recognize virtual assets or digital asset service providers in this country as part and parcel of Nigeria's capital markets. That's a big one for Nigeria, and it was pretty much celebrated across Africa. Now, what do I think about it, and how does it affect the local guys, right? I think that we need to appreciate better where we are, where we were coming from, and where the world is. Even in the United States, the Securities and Exchange Commission is pretty much cautious. When you follow the director or the head there, is extremely cautious about regulating this space with a new regulation. No one wants to make that mistake of legitimizing crypto, let's just put it that way, and then the economy goes down. Who is going to be held responsible? So we need to appreciate that. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the licensing and registration regime that it has introduced by virtue of that regulation, the rules, it has a lot of room for improvements. I'll put it that way. It is not the best, but it can be improved. Why is it not the best? Local players especially has complained, even to my office, that the registration and licensing fees required is too much. And if it is too much, it means that it can easily end up stifling innovation, especially local innovation. You could have the likes of Binance, FTX, and the rest of them get the licenses and move ahead. But what about the Niger cryptos, the Bitmamas, and the rest of them? How are we ensuring that they also get there? So that's where the problem is.
All right, so at the same time, it is a positive and a welcome development, and then on the other hand, it is not accessible. for the common Nigerian. All right, we get that. Thank you very much for answering that. Please, I hope we are following. Thank you very much. All right, so can we say that the regulation on cryptocurrency is a reactive measure following the NSAS protest? Because aside that, I don't see a reason why they could have banned or put a regulation on it for a long time, but they decided that just after that incident, they decided. So would you say that was a reactive measure?
You know, in life there is fact, there is perception,
Okay.
there is truth. Both truth and perception is still facts. So when the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Godwin Emefiele, was specifically asked this question, why did you ban crypto in Nigeria's banking and financial system on February 5, 2021? The answer he gave, they asked him, is it because of the NSAS protests in October? He said that that is not so, that the CBN is not that petty. The CBN is concerned about the negative effects that the adoption of crypto in Nigeria's financial system could have on financial stability and the soundness of Nigeria's financial system. There were security issues, the use of cryptocurrencies for money laundering, terrorism financing, and other illicit transactions appear to have had a very big influence, right? Now, whether these things were true or not, or whether it was of a big size or small size, it's left for everyone to decide.
Okay.
But the issue is, I would say, we might say that the reason why the NSAS, for instance, needed to rely on Bitcoin and crypto was because the banking and financial system was basically shut down against those nature of contributions coming in. I'm sure if Nigeria's economic freedom index was better, I'm sure maybe those who were contributing or donating those funds for NSAS would have still relied on the banking system. But for those who did, you know what happened. Some of them were actually sued. They were taken to courts, right? So it tells you that there is some censorship going on.
Okay.
Right? And discrimination as well.
On analyzing cryptocurrency, on the article you wrote, and then you made mention that in 2020, illegal activities as regards cryptocurrency fell to a very large extent, and I really don't see the point that the CBN is trying to make from banning the cryptocurrency transactions. So let's put it this way, that the government is just trying to hold on to something, or probably looking for an excuse to be able to have a hold on such transactions in Nigeria, because I know that terrorism is not just the only thing that is being financed by using cryptocurrency. We use the naira as well. Till today, we know that we can attest to that. So can you, in your own opinion, tell us, do you think that that was a reason?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The article or work you referred to, analyzing the use of cryptocurrencies in Nigeria for the use of illicit transactions. I titled it, Before We Kill the Goose That Might Lay the Golden Egg. Now, there has been a lot of misunderstanding and misconceptions, not just by the Nigerian regulators, but it's a global thing. First of all, people say that Bitcoin is anonymous.
Okay.
That's where the problem starts.
True.
So Bitcoin is anonymous. Already that is zero. You're wrong. Bitcoin is not anonymous. Bitcoin is pseudonymous.
Okay.
Right? Anonymous means you can't even trace the person. With Bitcoin you can. So starting with that misconception, regulators, including law enforcement, initially attacked crypto and Bitcoin from that point of view, saying whoever uses Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies are those who don't want to be seen, are those who are criminally minded, therefore get out of the system. Well, over time, they have realized that they were fundamentally wrong. Because today, the EFCC, some section of the Nigerian police now understand that there is nothing more traceable and transparent than Bitcoin, right? It's only cryptocurrencies that are privacy coins like Zcash, Monero, Dash, that are privacy coins. You can't trace those.
All right,
now, to quickly attempt that, it may be a surprise to many of us here that according to Cryptanalysis, a global analysis company in the crypto space, of all of the global crypto transactions in 2021, less than 1%, precisely 0.16% was traceable to illegal or illicit transactions. Even fiat cannot beat that record. Like you said, daily, the use of fiat currencies for money laundering, terrorism financing, and other illicit transactions continue till date. And it's going through the banking and financial system. No one, including the central bank governor, has said that the way out of this is to ban the naira. Or to ban the US dollar or the European, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because that would be ridiculous. It is the same way that we in this space believe that you do not fight crime by killing innovation. What you can do is to introduce money laundering and anti-money laundering and countering terrorism, financing terrorism compliance mechanisms. That's the only way. So monitor transactions, don't kill transactions. If you try to kill Bitcoin, you make it bigger.
Of course. So this is a yes or no question. You think that cryptocurrency digital transactions in Nigeria can be regulated without a ban?
If it can be regulated without a ban.
Without a ban.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I'll tell you this. The Financial Action Task Force, FATF, is the global body that monitors the use of, financing of terrorism and all that, money laundering globally. And one of the things they've said way back is this. Banks, regulators should embrace virtual assets from a point of view of monitoring the transactions. So what do? Rather than ban, as we have done in Nigeria, when I say ban, please, it doesn't mean that crypto or Bitcoin has been banned in Nigeria, please. It means that banks are not supposed to facilitate those transactions. So what they have said is introduce anti-money laundering policies. And it is not new. It's not. In 2017, when the Central Bank of Nigeria got to understand the use of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies were coming up strong, the Central Bank of Nigeria never banned it. What it did was to use some wisdom and say, this is a new innovation coming up. We shouldn't be in a hurry to stifle it. Let's see where it's going. Guess what he did? He wrote all of the banks and financial institutions, precisely January 18, 2017, saying, guys, we are aware that Nigerians are using crypto. Please, whenever they come to you, whenever they use bank accounts, ensure that you are collecting their KYC, know your customer, identifications and all that, documents. Why? So that should anything go wrong, somebody can call EFCC and say, EFCC, investigate. It's as simple as that. This was the CBN under the same governor, Emefiele, in 2017. So it even mentioned that whoever suspects that a fraudulent transaction was going on should alert the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, which is also housed in the central bank. This was Nigeria in 2017, and we thank God the CBN did that. Because if the CBN had done what it did in February last year, if it had done it earlier, I'm not sure that the bit mamas and the mooners of this world would have been able to, grow as much as they have today. So what changed is the question. Why did the same CBN, under the same leadership, change after about 3 years? The issue is this. There were concerns that cryptocurrencies might have started being used as ways to finance terrorism. We know Nigeria has been fighting terrorism for many years. We understand from certain reports here and there that they traced certain crypto transactions to the purse or to the bag of terrorists in the country. That's on one side. That's a report here and there. We also understand that the central bank was concerned that people might be using cryptocurrencies for scams and other fraudulent stuff. But we, in our capacity, I currently sit as the General Secretary of the Blockchain Industry Coordinating Committee of Nigeria, Beacon, which is where all of the bodies, really congregate. And we said, we responded to the CBN in our letter statement of 9 February 2021, saying, we understand your fears, but you may not have understood fully what cryptocurrencies really are in terms of whether they are anonymous or not. We also indicated that if you think people will use cryptocurrencies for investment scams, because we were surprised to see CBN talking about investments, we said that is not your role. That is the role of the SEC. Allow the SEC come into the space and act in that order. Don't push the SEC away. And we thank God, because we've been working with the SEC for a while. And the SEC felt it's high time we come to regulate this space. So that's where we are. We think that engagements matter a lot. We think that there is a lot of there needs to be capacity building. Not just in the central bank, not just in the SEC, but even in our law enforcement agencies. I'll tell you one thing, one fantastic thing that happened last year, November last year. The industry players, some of them came together and said, we need to provide training to the EFCC nationwide on what cryptocurrencies really are. You know why? Because every week in my office, I receive complaints from Uyo, from Port Harcourt, from Oshun, Oshogbo, saying we were arrested because they found a Binance app or crypto app on our phone. So we saw that, the Nigerian police, as far as it was concerned, there was no difference between a crypto player and a Yahoo boy. And so we needed to do some education. And so EFCC today is more enlightened compared to other law enforcement. Why? Because we provided some training.
So I have about 2 more questions and we're done. So, and that question is on businesses that use cryptocurrency transaction before the ban. To what extent would you say was that a success? Because we have some companies, we had some companies that came up and said they wanted to start using local cryptocurrency exchanges in Nigeria that came up, and as a result of the ban, obviously we didn't hear anything about them again. Would you say that was a success at all? And if they were given the opportunity, they would have done better? Just in 30 seconds.
Okay. So that's the reality. As soon as the CBN shut that gate, it affected a lot of people, local and international.
Okay.
But how businesses have gone to navigate that is to introduce P2P transactions.
Okay.
So since the ban last year, P2P transactions in Nigeria has grown by over 1,000%. And it will continue to grow because that's the only gate open for now, apart from a few others. But right now, P2P is big and it gets bigger.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll take one or two questions from the audience as regards this topic, cryptocurrency regulation in Nigeria. Please, if you have a question, please signify and the mic will be passed to you. All right, I've already seen two hands. Please, can we get them the mic?
We're shy. Let me get in the mic. Don't worry, I'll come and meet you.
Okay, earlier you made mention that banning cryptocurrency was not due to CBN being petty about the EndSARS situation. And now my question is, since the regulation and ban, has there been any, because the answer you gave was that it was to reduce terrorism and all of that. So my question is, has it fulfilled its purpose? Right now that cryptocurrency is banned now, has the terrorism gone down as they made mention of that it would? So what's your opinion about that?
All right,
Thank
can we
you.
take the second question too? Somebody
Okay.
at the back there.
Osha, you can see that I'm doing your work. Oh. So any money they are giving you, I'm taking out of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So my question is, we all know the technology behind blockchain is
Hi.
decentralization. And there are talks that there is a way the blockchain technology can be regulated. So I want to ask, is there any form of regulation not in contrast with the technology behind blockchain technology? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Over to
All
you.
right, I'll take the first question first. How has it been since the central bank introduced that ban in the banking system? Has it reduced the issue of terrorism in a country? Well, I cannot say for sure. Maybe the central bank will be able to answer that. But from an industry player point of view, and because I've been part of a number of engagements, I can say this. Since the ban, quote and unquote, what we have seen is some level of reduction in terms of large transactions, right, through the banking system by organizations or central parties. So what we have seen reduce, before the ban, there were large transactions in billions of naira daily going on through banks, right? But after that ban, what we have seen is that most transactions have had to pass through P2P and OTC as well. Those things happening on WhatsApp, on Telegram.
Okay.
So what that means is that you're no longer seeing very high-level transactions going on.
Okay.
That has to be said. In terms of results, I don't think we've seen a lot of results. The EFCC chairman, I'll quote him, he said that because Nigeria lacks regulation, especially in the banking and financial system, it has kept them as law enforcement agencies in the dark. What does that mean? They can't see anything. Before the ban, they could go to Luno, Muna, all of these guys, Boundless Pay, and say, we have traced this thing to your wallet. Please give us the information of this user.
Okay.
They could do that. But after the ban, there was no such thing because things were happening outside the centralized exchanges. Things were happening on WhatsApp, on Telegram, where OTC players, some of them, were not even collecting KYC. You just say, guy, I need 10 billion, I need 1 million, and then send, it's done. No KYC, nothing. So that has actually worsened the situation, because if any terrorist wants to do stuff now, they can do it even better, because there is no trace at all. It will just be happening on WhatsApp or Telegram. As to the other question, you're right. A lot of people say that if we say this space is all about decentralization, how come we're talking about regulation? So yes, since the first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, was invented, the idea has always been about a network system, a consensus system, a self-governing and self-regulated system. That's true. But it has its limitations, just as every other innovation. We have seen what is happening in decentralized platforms. Those who use decentralized exchanges, DEX, the billions of dollars, not naira, the billions of dollars, right, being lost to scams and all sorts. It's more from the decentralized exchanges compared to centralized. Why is that? Centralized, you can walk up to Muna, you can walk up to Boundless Pay, all of these guys, and ask questions, right? They keep your passwords and all that, your private key. But you can't walk up to Trust Wallets or Uniswap or PancakeSwap. These are decentralized exchanges that are meant to be self-governing. When things go wrong, no one can correct you. You are your own bank 100%. You are your own customer care. Right. So why do we need regulation in that area? If you leave decentralization as it is purely, it will kill the industry eventually. I have to tell you that. Because everything needs moderation. Okay. You need to be able to regulate. The issue should be how. So some people have gone to the extremes to say the best way to regulate decentralized platforms is to say, hey, whoever builds this software should be liable for what happens.
Yeah.
You can imagine how ridiculous that is. For instance, we had that issue in the US when the Tornado Cash, right? There was trouble. They said Tornado Cash is used by criminals. Therefore, go and catch the developer. He was caught and he was arrested. And people shouted, like, do you mean if I build a software, I can be liable? So these are extremes. What we think, just like the Financial Action Task Force has said, and I'll round off it with this, is yes, decentralization is not 100% perfect. It's not perfect.
Okay.
At the same time, centralization has its own, cons. Therefore, let's take some strength from here, and create a new financial system. Otherwise, what we will have is a situation where if we continue to rely on the traditional finance system as it is right now, we will eventually run it down. As you can see, global recession, interest rates, inflation, devaluation, depreciation, everything is shown right now. So if you continue that way, you could just kill the system. So there's a lot to learn from DeFi. There's a lot to learn from communities. There's a lot to learn from blockchain. And I want to just encourage everyone to just be the good player and not the bad players.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Senator Ihenyen. It was an amazing session, we think. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And I'll hand over to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.